Hey everyone, Wolf Lord Rho here. Today we are talking about how there could still very much be an uprising within the Imperium's future. A spoiler warning to begin here, as today we will be referencing events from the Warhammer 40k novel Dark Imperium Godblight by author Guy Hayley. As always, I really recommend you read the stories for yourself first, without spoilers, as that's the best way to enjoy the lore for yourself. But with that said, let's just jump straight in. Now, I don't know about you, but for me, it feels like a lifetime ago that we got to experience the events of the Dark Imperium trilogy for the first time. However, it still remains one of, if not the best resources that we have for anticipating the future of the Imperium and the 40k universe to come. By far and away the best glimpse into the mind of the returned Primarch Roboute Guilliman post-heresy that we have. And we've seen the rocky road that Guilliman has had to traverse and handle since his return. The struggle he has faced to not only save the Imperium, but to just come to terms with what it's become. I mean, he's had to remove ruling High Lords from power, and even put down an attempted coup by them after. He's had to stave off grumblings of conflict within the Astartes, and he's had to disband the very force that saved Imperium Sanctus due to the self-interested posturing of politicians. All to save the very people who caused these problems. And unbelievably, there could still be more struggle ahead. A spark of Guilliman's own making, ignited into a final true uprising against him. A flame undoubtedly fanned by chaos, specifically Nurgle and the greater demon Rotigus. As the Plague Wars for Ultramar were reaching their epic final confrontation, with Guilliman facing Mortarion upon the world of Ajax, the homeworld of Macragge was still fending off the last of Chaos's assault. And whilst this battle and defence was ongoing, the demon Rotigus managed to infiltrate the fortress of Hera and break open the sealed library of Ptolemy. Now, this is important because Guilliman himself had sealed the library shut, even barring access to his own created order of new historitors, those he had tasked with creating a true and accurate account of what had transpired within the Imperium. And one of those historitors was a man named Fabian, and he witnessed Rotigus breaking entry into the library, contacting Chief Librarian Tigurius himself to raise the alarm. However, he then would defy Tigurius's orders by following Rotigus inside the library. And Fabian was surely motivated here in part by doing the right thing, stopping the demon somehow. However, he was also in truth giving in to his desire to see within the barred doors. And unfortunately for him, this desire was well known to Rotigus, who was intentionally luring Fabian within, waiting for him and greeting him upon his arrival. And it was here that Rotigus pointed Fabian to one of the barred library's books in particular. I would read that book there. It extended a long black nail towards the volume its minion had pointed out. I would reach it down for you, but, you know, if I were to do so, you would not be able to read it. It sniggered, and each heave of its chest split maggots from its mouth like grain falling into a hopper. "Why would I do anything you suggest?" said Fabian. "I have read of your kind. You tempt and you corrupt. That is all you do. Is that so? All your gods are evil. All gods are gods. They are neither good nor bad. The mouth embedded in Rotigus's belly licked its split lips. 9 of your Primarchs turned from your god to the Great Four. They were men far above you. If they did so in their wisdom, do you not think the offers of chaos are worthy of consideration? No, said Fabian. He backed away. The air twisted, and suddenly Rotigus was behind him, blocking the door, and there was no way out. I'm not done with you yet, it said. You pursue knowledge, do you not? That is your purpose. That is your drive. I can see your faults, mortal. I know that as much as you revile me, you are curious about what I say. So thirsty for knowledge you are. You are thinking, why this book? Why is this monster showing me, tempting me? What knowledge is in there? Rotigus gave a one-shouldered shrug. You justify this to yourself. You are wondering what I might be giving away, what power the knowledge could give you against my kind, and whether it would be worth the sacrifice of your soul. Fabian the hero, part of you thinks, and it is tempted. Another part of you is tired with war, and despairs. This is a way out, you think, but we both know that those thoughts are only half true. The real reason you want to look into that book is because you just want to know. You have always just wanted to know. It is why the anathema's son raised you up, and it is why you will be his undoing. I will not betray Lord Guilliman, Fabian shouted, choking on fear. He brandished his weapons impotently. Rotigus laughed. How delightful. Well then, ask yourself this. If he is too pure to betray, it licked its lips and gave a knowing look. Why would your lord lock away this book? Why would he lock this whole library against you and all other scholars, when he chose you specifically to uncover knowledge and reveal the truth? Just for one book. That book right there. It's symbolic. Rot, and you know it. Rotigus held up a finger. I'm going to tell you why. In that book is a truth that the Primarch does not want revealed. Rotigus leaned forward. Its face was mere inches from Fabian's. Hypocrite, it whispered. So take it, and know what kind of being leads your race towards extinction, and this reality to dissolution. Now, I guess you could always say there's a fine line between curiosity and temptation. Rotigus here knows full well the Historiators are motivated hugely by their curiosity. As he said, the very reason for them assuming the roles that they have, to dig out and discover the truth. And he knows how easily that can be twisted to temptation, with just a little push. Which is exactly what he's doing here. And it has to be said, as so often with the lures and schemes of chaos, there is a gleam of truth within. Enough to play to your rationale, to make it not easy to discard. And for Fabian, that's the very real question of why would Guilliman lock away the knowledge within the library when he has founded the Historiators to reveal it. Yes, Guilliman had his reasons, but it's enough of a legitimate question to ask that it just pierces that defense of Fabian deep within, makes him wonder. Even if he does deny Rotigus here, it's the chink in his armour that has been exposed, that has pushed him from curiosity onto the path of temptation. Now yes, Fabian would say no to Rotigus. even draw his power sword, in a remarkable showing of bravery for a mortal. And then Chief Librarian Tigurius would arrive to combat the greater demon. However, as the two clashed in unleashing psychic power, Fabian would indeed grab the book. And the entire library would ignite into flame during their contest, with Rotigus actually winning, defeating the Chief Librarian, before simply departing, telling Fabian to enjoy the book. And we don't know how much of the library's sacred knowledge is lost here. However, we do know for certain that Fabian saved the book he was tempted by Rotigus to read, titled The Reign of the Emperor Sanguinius, a history, which we know as the one true regret that Guilliman harbours inside, the truth of Imperium Secundus. We've debated Guilliman's intentions with Imperium Secundus in the days gone by, and I think we all largely agree that his intentions were pure, well-founded, but that it was simply a misstep with the Emperor and the Throne World still surviving, needing his presence and assistance. One that was compounded by Guilliman never arriving in time. And it's a regret that Guilliman still clearly feels to this day, as we have seen by his reaction when chided by Colquhoun, revealing that the Custodes knew of Imperium Secundus. And it's the prospect of Emperor Sanguinius and Imperium Secundus being revealed that clearly poses a problem for Guilliman in the mind of Rotigus. As revealed by the later passage, he is supposed to construct true histories. Remember that detail. In the book, which I led him to, is the only account of an empire deliberately unremembered. I thought it time to remind everyone about it, and the true scale of the oh-so-perfect Roboute Guilliman's ambitions. What this Fabian read in there will infect him like a disease. He will not be able to divest himself of the knowledge. From this point on, he will never be free of doubt. It will fester, and that doubt will shake an empire. So, remind everyone of Imperium Secundus, and reveal the true scale of Roboute Guilliman's ambition. We've already seen a High Lord rebellion against the ambition or intent of the returned Primarch, and it appears we could well be seeing another. Only this one promises to be much worse, if indeed it does come to fruition. As I said earlier, Roboute Guilliman has replaced the High Lords. He has had to disband his unnumbered sons, all because of the suspicion and fear against him. And now, Imperium Secundus will come to light. Guilliman's own founded Imperium, while the Emperor needed his help. How could this not lead to an anti-Primarch uprising of some kind against him? It's undoubtedly a very real risk, and something that Rotigus is clearly banking on. And the Sanguinius element is intriguing too. As the Emperor, you'd expect him to face a huge amount of backlash as well. However, we know his name is the second most worshipped within the Imperium, behind only his father's. So will the Angels' sacrifice against Horus Lupercal somehow absolve him from criticism? Will it be seen as him redeeming himself somehow, proving to his father, and thus the people, that he was worthy? And what of Lionel Johnson? How much mention of the lion will there be inside? Let's remember he was an equal member of the founding trio, playing a big part in Imperium Secundus's history. With him of course returned, will he face a backlash too? As you would expect. Could it even jeopardise his relations with his redeemed? Or even the unforgiven? Will they see him as having betrayed the Emperor in some way all along? Or will it remain largely within the mortal humans instead? Will we finally see a more concerted effort to remove Guilliman from power? And will his refusal to acknowledge the Emperor as a god contribute to that as well? Will it count against him? Could this be the final straw for the ecclesiarchy? Could he even officially have to acknowledge the Emperor as a god to deny the rising fears against him? It's a real fascinating, underlying storyline that we're going to be seeing developing as we move forward. And you definitely get the feeling that Roboute is going to return from across the rift to a very different atmosphere indeed. One that's even more hostile to the Primarch. Assuming of course Rotigus's plan goes as he hopes. So how will Fabian react? Will he spread doubt and fear? Or will the actions of Guilliman in the present prevent Fabian from doing anything rash? Anything misguided? Will he see the virtue and valour within Guilliman and the truth of his regret? Or will that temptation lead him, and thus the Imperium, towards that anti-Primarch uprising that has always been a possibility? As always everyone, leave your thoughts in the comments below. A huge thank you to all my subscribers, your support truly means a lot to me, it really does. If you're new, please consider subscribing to help the channel grow. And if you enjoyed this particular vid, then why not drop a like on it too. But with that said, I am off, and I'll see you all again real soon.